Happy Easter.
Hey vinyl community, welcome back. This is Luke with Hot Wax and Cool Vinyl. Once again, a happy new year to everyone. Today is Monday, January 7th, and I'm going to do the Vinyl Tag 2019. Now I've been doing videos about a year. Actually I started last December, but the first one I eliminated because it was poor. So my pseudo unofficial official first video was about this time last year. I didn't really know much about vinyl tags, didn't know anything really about it. By the time I realized it, it was just too late. So we're going to do a vinyl tag this year. A lot of great questions, 20 of them. I have my cheat sheet written down here. So I'm going to get into it right away. The first one was Best Finds of 2019. I found Mudslide by Led Zeppelin. This is a bootleg. This was on, it's BRR004 is the code. It is on red vinyl. Turns out it's a pretty rare album, this particular one, this particular code and this particular red album. I believe there was only, I want to say 600. It was definitely less than 1,000 made. I think it was about 600 or 400 that were made. And I happened to be lucky enough to buy a collection this year where this one was included. So this pretty much is the best find of the year. The next question from the vinyl community was, for the vinyl community I should say, is a shout out to other channels that could use some viewers. I think by viewers they meant subscribers, because I think we could all use more viewers. Two come to mind. One I've mentioned a few times. It's William Now is the channel. The gentleman's name is Bradley. Really solid jazz collector, very knowledgeable, and just a very conversational channel that he has, which is kind of like what I really do enjoy that. And so that would be one. The second is a fellow Long Islander, relatively new to the VC. He, however, has gotten quite a few subscribers in a very short amount of time. It's Jam on Vinyl. He's a drummer. Again, really solid, knowledgeable guy. Favorite band is Fish. I mean, he's a huge Fish fan. And I said, gotta throw out some props to my fellow Long Islanders. North Shore guy, but still, you know, a great channel. Just a really knowledgeable and just a real, you know, he's got a Marantz. I mean, seriously, if anybody who's gonna run a Marantz deck, I mean a Marantz amp, you got my vote. So check him out. Jam on Vinyl and Bradley over at William Now. And of course, me. I mean, you know, please subscribe. Okay, number 3, Holes to Fill. As a lot of you know, I just recently started collecting jazz about 2 years ago. So there is a plethora of holes to fill in that, within that genre. But this particular year, thanks to Bradley at William Now, I discovered Art Pepper, and I really enjoyed listening to his stuff. And so this year I'm going to expand my Art Pepper catalog. That's going to be my goal. You know, it's very hard to find this stuff out in the wild and yard sales and such. So it's going to be a pretty arduous undertaking, only because his stuff isn't cheap. I mean, his repressed stuff is reasonable, but his, you know, original stuff is really not at all inexpensive. So, but that's where I'm going to focus this year. Art Pepper and jazz in particular, but Art Pepper and more so. Okay, so number 4, a cheap album that's really good. A lot of them out there, but I actually highlighted this in one of my videos last year. I think it's one of my must-have debut albums. The B-52 self-titled, great record. Just a great record. It's really interesting. They really, when they burst on the scene, they were really new sound, a whole lot of different stuff. Very comical lyrics, enjoyable to listen to, and a lot of fun. So the B-52's self-titled debut album can be had for certainly under $10 by and large. So next, your favorite side project. Now this one's a little difficult for me because I'm really not that much into side projects. I mean, unless you want to consider, like, you know, the Ringo Starr, his solo stuff a side project, but it really wasn't, because most of them started doing their stuff after the Beatles broke up. You know, same holds true for Don Henley, but there was one, I guess I had to pick one, and so I think this will fall into it. The Traveling Wilburys. The Wilbury Brothers. Amazing how 5 brothers look absolutely nothing alike and are absolutely all within the same age and play amazing music. You know, it's a great record. Sometimes when you put this many amazing musicians together, the project comes out like crap. This one is anything but. Up next, this is number 6. A song that's not in the genre of a band or an artist. This one was a little bit weird for me. I wasn't sure how to go about it. Then I watched some of the videos and I saw Bill Over Vinylverse, who highlighted the Carpenters and a few other odds and ends. So it kind of got me thinking, and I came up with, I'm not going to show the record just because it's buried somewhere in my pile, but I came up with the Ramones' Danny Says off of the End of the Century album. It's really non-Ramones style. Ramones are just generally, you know, hard-driven, 2-minute songs, you know, punk with surf riffs. Danny Says is absolutely nothing like that. If you get a chance, listen to it. I'm sure I'd like to know if you agree with me on that one. On that one in particular, let me know what you think about that, and if I'm way off base or if I'm spot on. I think I'm spot on, but I'd like to hear from you guys on that as well. Number 7. What was it? The last record you picked up in 2018. Actually, it was like 7 albums that my buddy called me on the last week of 2018, the week before Christmas and New Year's. And again, I'm not going to show it. It's somewhere in there. Pink Floyd's, I actually showed it on my last video, but it's Pink Floyd Dark Side of the Moon, 1983 repress on the Capitol label, Capitol Rainbow, which I don't have in my collection, and even though I was going to pass on it because I have 4 copies of Dark Side already, but when I took a look at it and I saw it was a Rainbow label, I was like, you know what, I'll grab it. It sounds really good too, so I'm very pleased that I did grab that. So that was it. I'm going to go with Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon, sans posters and postcards, unfortunately, but it is a Capitol Rainbow 1983 repress, so pretty pleased with that. So that was number 7. I am terrible with numbers in memory, guys. Number 8, a great album with a really bad cover. That one I have. The Ramones, second album. Okay, so Leave Home is a fantastic album. It really is a great record. If you're a Ramones fan, you know it. It's just a really, it's a horrible cover. This should have been the cover. This is what all their other covers went before they went cartoonish. This, I don't even know what this is. These guys are from Queens. There's nothing about Queens in this. There's nothing about the city in this. I just don't get this cover. It's a horrible cover. Seriously, I'm going to tell you what I really think. This should have been the cover. So, my little rant now is over. Ramones Leaving Home, great album, terrible cover. The flip side of that is number 9, which is a bad album with a cool cover. It's really not a bad album, but I just kind of grown disenchanted with it over the years, and it's kind of like it's like meh, but it's got a great cover. Foghat Live with a die cut cover, and within each letter is a member of the band. Back is cool on this. The inner sleeve slides out. The collage photos, which actually make up the front cover, and then of course the whole back, and some really cool stuff. Very 1975. If you look at it, it's just fog, and they're wearing a hat. So this, and you know what, Foghat also, even though they are a British band, they actually came to New York. They were on their way to make it big elsewhere in the United States. They came to Long Island, fell in love with Long Island, and stayed. So we are now calling Foghat our own. They actually play in one of my local theaters at least once a year. Again, 18-year-old me would have run out and seen them. 56-year-old me was like, man, not so much. Okay, so moving on, number 10, a blues album. I was going to be really cute and was going to pull out my Sonny Boy Williams with the Animals. And then I was like, all right, you're just trying to be too clever by half. So I decided, when I say we, it's me and the voices in my head. I decided instead to go with Muddy Waters, It's Hard. I mean, it's blues, so if it's a great album. Great blues record. This one actually is a promo, gold stamp promo. So very happy. So I went with that one. Earwig song. So somewhere I actually have my 45 of Hey Mickey from Tony Basil. Couldn't find it, so we're not going to go with that, and I'm sure somebody else went. I know Chris from First Pressing Goodness went with Queen. We Are the Champions, and Bill over to Vinyl Verse went with ABBA's SOS. Oh my goodness, I'm trying to remember what some of the others did, and I'm drawing a blank. So I'm gonna go instead with Jimmy Buffett's Cheeseburger in Paradise. Yeah, you thought Margaritaville, didn't you? But no, Cheeseburger in Paradise. I'm guessing you're either singing to yourself or you're really, really hungry and want a beer. Because that's what I want right now. So, also, a historically important artist. Okay, so, again, Bill went with the Beatles. I forgot, somebody else went with Pink Floyd, and the bigs. So I was gonna try not to go with any of those, although I was actually tempted to do the Doors and the Eagles, but I figure those will probably be taken very quickly. So I want to do something a little bit out of the box. At least I think it's out of the box. One band, one album, changed everything. The Pistols, never mind the Bullocks. Again, literally one record. I mean, that's what they did. And just, changed music, culture, ignited the UK punk fad, and I know there was others, but I mean, the Pistols were the first ones that really just kind of like grabbed everyone's attention and just became that band. You know, and they were followed suit obviously by the Clash, which had much more success, and arguably, at least I would argue that they had a bigger impact societally. But you know, for the era and the ushering in of something completely different and really, you know, having not seen since, I guess, rock and roll's inception, when, you know, everyone just kind of like really freaked out about, you know, rock and roll, and it was the devil's music and all kinds of other horrible things. You know, all kinds of bad things were going to happen if you listen to rock and roll. You know, Elvis was just general, the Beatles, and, you know, Chubby Checker and Chuck Berry, all these guys were, you know, it's like, oh my God, it's like, you know, these kids, they don't know what they're doing. Well, the Pistols were like that in a lot of ways in the 70s, and so I consider them to be a really important historic band. On to number 13, which is a record you own because of your parents. My family is originally from Italy, in particular the city of Rome. And growing up here in New York and on the island, you know, there was a couple of, my parents both liked music, but they liked the music from Italy when they were growing up. And so I got to listen to a lot of it. And one of the things, one of the artists who I own specifically because of my mom and my dad is a woman by the name of Mina. You know, think of her as the Italian version of Barbra Streisand, for lack of a better analogy. Female vocalist, you know, very popular. You know, did all the variety shows, movies, etc. Saw a lot of albums. Found that at flea market a couple of years ago. Grabbed it, not because I was a big fan of hers, but specifically because my mom and my dad both were, and yeah, so that's the record. So on to best dollar bin finds. Thank God the record is strong on this, because the cover actually belongs in a dollar bin, but it's a great album, and I was so psyched to get it. War, The World is a Ghetto. You know, literally paid $1 for this thing. But again, the vinyl is really solid. Very, very, very clean. Plays great. So that was this year's dollar find, or one of many, but the one I guess comes to mind as the best of the year. And I don't know if you meant, you know, as far as worth. So I didn't think so, because, you know, but for just, you know, bang, like, attachment, whatever, war. Next one up, which is your favorite double album. Well, for those of you who know me, this will come in as no shock to anybody. London Calling, The Clash's first double LP set. I mean, I'm not going to go on and on and on and on about this. When I did my top 100, this was number 1 in my top 100. It's just, for me, when this album came out, I was a teenager, and it just struck all the chords. It just made me, it just spoke to me in a way that no other album has, or had or has since, actually. So yeah, this is still my #1 record, period, bar none. So it has to be my favorite double album. Recommended by the vinyl community. So I'm going to go back once again and thank Bradley over at William Now. He showed Smack Up by Art Pepper, and spoke about it well enough where I actually went and got it and bought it off eBay, and it started a fascination for Art Pepper for me, and a fascination for his work and the story of his life. You know, he had a rough go. He had addiction problems, but man, that guy could play. I mean, he just flat out could play. It was just really amazing. And he was, you know, West Coast jazz guy, and I actually do like West Coast jazz. Not that I'm a jazz expert at all, but I just happen to like of the jazz that I've sampled thus far in this short 3 years that I've been collecting and listening to it. West Coast jazz is really, for an East Coast New York guy to say the West Coast stuff is cool, it takes a bit. So yeah, West Coast stuff is pretty legit. I like it quite a bit. So finally, number 17, a 10-inch record. So this one was actually kind of easy for me to figure out what I wanted to show you. I bought this recently, and this is a Joe Jackson gatefold double album 10-inch record, and almost became a dented gatefold double album 10-inch record. It's a really cool album. I love it. It does not have, it used to come a little pin back here. It said "Look Sharp" on it. That unfortunately is missing from this particular record. Maybe one day I'll find either the pin back itself or another copy of that album. Okay, so next, 45 or 7-inch album, as it were. So I have a few. Most of them are, you know, just your standard fare 45s. But I had to pick one, and so I picked 45 picture disc, Sticky Fingers, actually from the Sticky Fingers album, Brown Sugar and Bitch, the Rolling Stones. I think this is either late 70s or early 80s repress, I'm not sure which. And now finally, actually two questions. That was 18. 19 is an album to fall asleep by. I don't fall asleep to music. I can't. I can't fall asleep to, you know, those sounds or things like babbling brooks, things of that nature. Just no. But I guess if I had to pick one that I would relax to, and I could, you know, sitting down on a Sunday, if it's on the turntable, I'm in this particular chair, relaxing, I could probably catch myself dozing off, then it would be Modern Jazz Quartet, Pyramid. Modern Jazz Quartet is a really soothing jazz band. You know, I guess, what is it, hard bop, I guess it's called, and but it's really just, you know, a great sound. So if I had to choose one to fall asleep to, Modern Jazz Quartet's Pyramid. And finally, what do you recommend to people just starting out in the VC or just starting to make videos? That one's kind of easy. Be yourself. Be true to yourself. Mostly because everyone else is taken. That's one. Two, most of us are on the VC because we love records and music and sharing our collections and learning about other people's collections. And so that's it. I mean, that's why I watch your videos. You know, yeah, of course I've developed friendships with other members of the VC. You know, and I have several of friends. Several of us have. Okay, I'm going to try that in English. Several of us have become friends on Facebook, and we've mailed records back and forth. And they just, you know, it's a wonderful community to be part of. But the underpinning of everything is the actual love for music and the love for the format of records or albums and CDs. But I mean, quite honestly, it's most of the community is focuses on albums in one way or another, or in large part. I shouldn't say mostly, but in large part on albums. So share your knowledge, share what you have, put it out, show the records, because you're gonna have records that I don't have, and you're gonna tell me about records that I am going to want to listen to and want to buy. Case in point is Art Pepper. I had no idea who Art Pepper was, or had listened to any of his music. Now I do, and I not only do I want to buy more of his music, but I'm actively pursuing it. So yeah, you know, share your knowledge because it's always appreciated, and just be yourself, and most importantly, have fun, because, you know, it's not a job. You know, we do this because, you know, it's a hobby and we enjoy it, and hopefully you take something from what I just said, and you know, maybe you'll go and get yourself a copy of the Pistols, or maybe you don't know about Modern Jazz Quartet, and maybe you'll go grab a copy of Pyramid, or, you know, seriously, go listen to Danny Saza from the Ramones and let me know what you think of it. It happens to be one of my favorite Ramones songs, by the way. It's just a viciously amazing song, you know. So it's just, but you know, it's just so unlike anything that they normally do. So that, you know, that stuff, that sort of stuff. So yes, be yourself, have fun, and understand that you're doing a service to people like me, because you're going to tell me about, inevitably, you're going to tell me about somebody I've never heard of, and who I'd like to learn more about, whether it's a jazz musician, a composer, a pop singer, whomever. So yeah, so that is my Vinyl Tag 2019. Yes, ran a little longer than most of my normal videos. I do apologize for that. Hopefully I did not bore you. I do have one more video I would like to do in the next day or two, and that is B-Sides Records contest entry, but that is for another time. For this evening, again, everyone have a wonderful New Year. Hopefully it is filled with happiness, health, and prosperity, and lots and lots and lots of subs. Or none, it doesn't really matter either way. Have a great New Year, everyone. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't subscribed to my channel and you like it, please subscribe. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you think of my vinyl tags, what you think of my selections, and thanks. Again, cheers all. Happy New Year.